The second verse says, he makes me lie down in green pastures. What kind of pastures? Was it pastures that are brown and thicker briars, or uncomfortable pastures? Or is it green pastures? What's the significance about pastures being green? Healthy. It's a good place.
And you have
green pastures suggest that this place is a good place. It's a peaceful place. It's a place that works in harmony with the sheep. When God gives us peace and gives us a place of rest each day, our place of peace. Right now, where you are, in the comfort that you have right now, is the green pasture that the Lord is making you lie down in, is making you feel comfort in right now. That's what the green pastures imply, is that where the shepherd is going to make sure that you are, is going to be a place of comfort. Every sheep that listens to the voice, that seeks the shepherd first, will be made to lie down in said environment, will be made to live in said environment, will be made to have as a part of their life said environment. But it starts by us listening to the advice of the shepherd. And the first thing that the shepherd said to do is to seek me first. Before you go off and do anything, come to me. That's the habit that God's people have to learn. We have to develop, because we've been used to, before coming to the Lord, like before Nicodemus, before becoming born again, Nicodemus had a life, and Nicodemus did things a certain way, and it did not involve seeking the advice of the Lord first. So that's a change. That's what makes these people in 1 Peter 2:9 different. Those people first seek the Lord about anything. They weren't people before becoming born again. That wasn't their way of doing things. That wasn't their way. It wasn't the path that they chose. They would just go and do it. Then they would come back to the Lord after they made a mess. The Lord said, flip it. The thing that makes these people special, they flip it. They come to me first. They recognize that I know more about themselves and their life than they do. So they cast their care on me. They come to me first. The same scripture goes on to say that he leads. He leads me beside the still waters. What does still waters imply?
Comfort.
Comfort, doesn't it? The environment that you're in right now, is it calm?
Yes.
Is it comfortable?
Yes.
You've been led to this environment that you're in right now. If you acknowledge the shepherd, you've been led to the environment that you're in right now. Well, how do you know that, Pastor? Some people don't have calm and comfort right at this moment. Because of the path that they have chosen to follow, the result was not the stillness, the still waters, the feeling that you get around still waters. It was not that. It's free from noise. It's free from heartache. It's free from suffering. The environment that you're in right at this moment is free from those things, because he led you to this moment, because you listened to the advice. So the path that you are on led you to this moment. And the Bible is saying that no matter where you work, no matter where your community is, no matter where your vineyard is, the Lord will lead you to these places of peace, of places of stillness, even on the job. He'll lead you to a place of stillness, even in school, in the classroom. It can be upheaval all around you, but the Lord will lead you to these still waters, to the environment of peace in your world. It may not be that immediately around you with other people, but he will lead you to be in a situation where you have it. I'll give you one example of this. So in college, we were talking about, them having to pay their phone bill and having to make sure they have money to pay their phone bill so they can have a phone service. And our kids realized, I haven't had to pay the phone bill. So in that moment, for that situation, they're hearing somebody talk about something that they're having to deal with that they never had to even concern themselves with. Why? Because they realized that that is a blessing that they had been provided that others, that they assumed that everybody else had. Then you begin to realize that everybody's situation is not the what? It's not the same. Is it by accident? No, it's intended. It's intended for the path that we choose to follow, that the shepherd has us on. See how we know how blessed and favored we are? It's because we have the still waters around us, even though there's turmoil happening all around us. Now watch the Bible help us get this. I'm getting ahead of myself. But he said he leads me beside the still waters. But that third verse goes on now to talk about what else he does for us. Because he knows that there's some things that the sheep need themselves. He said, restores my soul. Sometimes we can get down in energy. Isn't that right? Sometimes the challenges of the world can have us down. But have you noticed, the more that you have learned to trust in the Lord, that the more energy you seem to have about trusting God, the more you seem to be less down. That's not by accident. Our energy gets drained every day from us. When we go out into the world, at the end of the day, when you finish collaborating with people, dealing with people, your energy gets drained. So the Bible is telling us that the Lord restores us emotionally, our inner self, our energy, every day. He restores us. And in this situation, the environment we're in, because he's limited us, the movement, he actually is he's doing everybody a favor. Because he's limited the interaction that people can have. He's given people time to focus on the things that are really most important in their lives. He's restoring the right priorities. He's restoring the right focus. He's making people connect with people that who if the world continued to go the way it was going, relationships would be in a worse shape. But he's forced a situation that caused people to connect with people. He's restoring souls. If people would choose to take the advice, some may not. But it is an opportunity for people to reevaluate their relationships, to reevaluate their stance, to reevaluate the way that they do things. He certainly blessed us to be able to conserve a lot of energy that we spent going back and forth and dealing with a lot of other people. You will find you're probably feeling a lot less drained because you're not having to go somewhere to have that back and forth and collaboration as you did before. And there's a benefit, and that benefit has to do with you're being restored. It's easier for you to recover from your day because the shepherd's intent is to make our lives better, not worse. It goes on to say he leads me in paths of righteousness. Why must he lead us in paths of righteousness? What does this suggest to you? To be led in path. And we learned that path means what?
A track made by traveling on foot.
A track made by traveling on foot.
A way of life or thought.
A way of life or thought. Why do we need to be led in path, in a righteous path? Why do we need to be led in a righteous path? And what is the benefit of being led in a righteous path? Why is it important?
Make better choices.
You make better choices. What do you think God has in mind for leading us in a righteous path? Have the shepherd lead us in a righteous path? What do you think ultimately the Lord has in mind for that? What's the opposite of a righteous path?
The wrong path.
The wrong path or an unrighteous path. What can happen if a person is choosing an unrighteous path? Let's go back to the example that you brought up earlier about the person who chose a path. He got arrested. So getting arrested is not a win or a success, is it? Getting arrested is a failure, isn't it? But did it stop with just him, or did it impact other people? It impacted other people, didn't it? The team, the school. So the unrighteous path had a rippling effect and made life bad for a lot of other people because of a decision that was made, a choice that was made, an action that was taken, advice that was followed that was wrong. So the Bible is saying he leads me in path of righteousness. What then does that tell you? This shepherd, this advice that the shepherd is doing is helping us do what?
Make better choices.
Make better choices that lead to what?
To success.
Lead to success. Lead to good results. Lead to positive results. Lead to victory. That's what it's talking about. The shepherd gives us advice that leads us to success. Not like the example that you just mentioned. It leads us to a place where we are consistently successful. And isn't that the end of the day? Isn't that what people want?
Yes.
Does anybody really want to get up and make choices and take paths throughout their day to fail all day long? I don't know of anybody that wants to do that.
No.
Or to have a hard life all day long. I don't know of anybody that really wants that. People may be experiencing that. I don't know that people want that. I've not met anybody who just openly chose to want to have failure after failure after failure, disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. I just don't know anybody. And it just may be me, but I just don't know anybody that wants that. The point being, if we have more people who want the opposite, here is an offer from the Lord if we take his advice. And he's saying, I will lead you in path of right, which means righteous behavior. I will lead you in doing the right things so that you can succeed. And in actuality, isn't that what success is? If you're taking a test, don't you need to succeed by making a series of right choices in order to make an A? If you're doing an assignment, don't you need to do a series of right tasks in order to successfully complete the assignment?
Yes.
We were putting a chair together the other day for Ariana. But in order to put the chair together right, you have to make a series of right choices to go down the right path in order that the chair might be properly assembled. So what do you think the key is for being able to accomplish that? Following the instructions. That's the advice. So the chair was put together properly. But what do you think they did in order to accomplish putting that chair together properly. They succeeded by putting the chair together. Ariana and Jordan, I just was overseeing. What do you think they did, though, that enabled that success? They followed the advice of the instructions. And when you follow the advice of the instructions, the right advice, the path of righteousness, it leads to more success. And what the Lord is saying is that I want my children who would follow me as the shepherd to follow my advice that I give them so that they will succeed more. They will win more. And this is the people who are part of that chosen group of people. They win more. They succeed more. In everything they put their hands to do, they become more successful. So much so, they start standing out in their neighborhood that they're in. They start standing out in the workplace that they work in. They start standing out in the classroom that they're in. They start standing out in the club or organization that they're in. They start standing out in the community group that they work in. They start standing out because of the gifts and talents are on display, and following God's advice is causing them to blow up. Not that they're trying to say, not that they're saying, you know what, I'm going to go out there because I know I'm going to blow up. No, that's not what they're doing at all. What's happening is that their gifts and talents that God has given them and following the advice of the shepherd is causing them to be more successful in everything that they put their hands to do. Every choice that they're making, because they are open to following the advice of the Lord. And whenever you open yourself up to following the advice of the Lord, you will be on a path for victory. You will be on a path for success. You will be made to follow path of righteousness. That's what the word is talking about. He leads us to the right thing. And the only way you can really appreciate that is if you've been going down the wrong path and you've been led and you've been failing and following multitudes of disappointment, doing the wrong thing. But you got to know, this is why the Lord said, seek me first. Don't come to me after you've made a mess of things. If you do come to me after you've made a mess of things, I still will help you. But if you don't want to go through that anguish, learn to come to me first. Don't go to everybody else. Come to me first. The woman who had an issue of blood for 12 years, she had it for 12 years because she had not learned to come to the shepherd, what? First. So she had to go through 12 years. Why? She chose the wrong path to walk. And that path ended up with disappointments and failure. The Lord is saying, seek me first. I will give you the advice you need. As you go through your day, I will continue to give you the advice you need. He bore witness to this fact. Jesus bore witness to this fact by saying the Holy Ghost in the self-same hour will tell you what you need to say and what you need to do. That's a powerful assurance. But that's what the Lord is saying. I'm giving you this to help lead you in paths of righteousness so that you make these decisions all day long and you succeed all day long, every day. That fourth verse goes on to say, now, by the way, he's talking about your community. He's talking about my community. He's talking about my vineyard. He's talking about your vineyard. He's talking about my neighborhood. He's talking about your neighborhood. He said, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. When a person walks out their door, they are but a hot second away from death. You make the wrong choice and you can be dead. Am I right? A person goes out in the street, makes the wrong choice, you can be dead. And a person who's not adhering to the right advice, they can go out there and they can be taken advantage of in this world with people who don't have good values and ethics. And that's exactly what happens. So what we have to do is acknowledge that your vineyard, that there are some that are not godly in your vineyard. In your neighborhood, there are some people that are not godly. In your community, there are some people that are not godly. In your city, in your state, in your region, in your country, in this world, there are some people that are not godly. They've chosen a path to not be godly. They don't share your values and ethics. Some might work with you. Some might be in your classroom. Some might be in your neighborhood. And it shows up when people's values and ethics clash. Hasn't people's differences in values and ethics been showing up in a very acute way over the last 4 years?
Yes.
So I'm not making this up. This is real. The valley of the shadow of death. Have not people died senselessly over the last whatever number of years in this country? Especially African Americans.
Yes.
And minorities, black and brown people. There's a trend where they've died more senselessly than any others. The valley of the shadow of death. People are a second away. In other countries, there are wars where everybody's subject to life being taken by a bomb or some militia. The valley of the shadow of death. These vineyards are everywhere around the world. We still have a shepherd in the Lord God Jehovah who's saying, I am still here. If you would adhere to my advice, if you learn to adhere to my advice, I can keep you safe. I will restore you. I will lead you. I will make you lie down in green pastures.
Oh, praise be to God, from whom all blessings flow. It is our prayer at Clay Family Ministries that your life has been increased with the increase of God through this study. We appreciate and are thankful for your fellowship during this life skills study segment.